So, hello everyone, and welcome to the community meeting on March the 15th. Please don't forget to add your name to the agenda. And let's start with welcoming the new faces. I see here Aaron. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, sure. Thank you. Yeah, I'm Aaron Mascott. I'm with the developer platform team at Brandwatch. We've recently done some exploration into considering Keptn as a viable alternative for our in-house tool, which accomplishes similar goals. And I figured it would be a good idea to attend this meeting to meet some of the guys and gals making the magic behind the scenes, as well as to give my feedback about what our first impressions were with Keptn and how what our resolve was with things.
So welcome, thanks for providing the feedback. I'm looking forward to the discussion later. I see you put some agenda items. So I'd like to kick it off with a small announcement about the public roadmap. I already said in the last committee meeting that I work on making this roadmap a bit more visible for everyone, what's planned to be worked on. And so far that we agreed to finish working on splitting the lifecycle and metrics into two different operators. And after that, work on the automation application discovery, and then start to look more into how we can propagate the context across multiple stages if you're using a GitOps way of deploying across multiple stages, and also support more natively instances, because you might have one stage production, but two instances, for instance, one in US East and one in European Central. How you can model this with the Keptn Lifecycle Toolkit. But we have more things in the roadmap and other stuff in the backlog. So community, feel free to look into this project. It's called Project or Keptn Roadmap. It's pinned on top of the organization and the different repositories. So it should be fine and easy to look for that. Then also some news that we will discuss a bit more in details later with Moritz about a Docker Hub migration. We got an email that Docker will delete our repository or our organization in 30 days because we are backed by a company and they don't consider us an open source project by default, or they are getting rid of their free tier. So in the short term, we plan to migrate everything inside the GitHub registry, but we will also apply for the open source status, and let's see. But in the short term, you should expect to move all your links from the Docker Hub registry to the GICR. We'll also notify all the different maintainers of the contrib and sandbox repositories to support them with migration if they want to do so. And I already spoiled this point about the split into two operators. I said before in the roadmap, we are working towards split the single operator into two operators for the two different API groups. Then final news for today is the status of Keptn B1. We are preparing the release of 1.3.0. We work a lot in bumping all the different dependencies and get rid of all the small vulnerabilities found in the standard Go library. And we will most likely release this next week. And you can already see a small changelog preview about features and bug fixes. You will not see the dependency bumps here. And with that, I think we are over with the news, or is there any questions from the community? Looks like no. So Moritz, your turn.
Yeah, you already teased it anyways. Yeah, Docker Hub is sunsetting the free teams plan that we're currently using. So that's basically a plan where you have a maximum of three users in your team. And we're using that for the Keptn Docker Hub registry and also for the Keptn Dev one that we use for development. Yeah, as Giovanni said already, we are gonna I think, apply again for open source. We tried already. Yeah, for an open source plan. Either way, I would suggest that we just move to GitHub Container Registry. We are using it for the Lifecycle Toolkit and most Keptn contrib services already anyways. It just makes sense. Yeah.
Just to clarify, will users see this at all, or will they?
Yes, that's
Would Do we need
that's
to
very much a
document
breaking
it
change.
someplace
Document,
Yeah.
not really, more like announce.
or announce and?
It's a one-time thing. So you do it
Right.
once, and you do it once for your existing stuff, and if you install from scratch, we are going to change that in the next version anyways, and then it should be transparent anyways.
Okay,
But for existing users that have Keptn deployed already, that's going to be something that they need to change. So we're going to do announcements. We're also going to open some issues for all the community maintained services so that people get at least a notification for that and can update their services. And
okay.
yeah.
And you and I should look at the update section in the documentation for Keptn V1, right? Give maybe a short note at least.
Yeah, probably.
Keep
It's
it as
definitely
short
also
as we
going to
can,
be the changelog and
Right.
Oslog.
One thing to discuss is, should we backward change our Helm charts and instead of using Docker Hub pointing to JCR?
Yeah.
That's the question. For all 1.x releases, I would say yes. Before that, we could change the Helm charts and kind of republish them, but I don't know.
I would also only support the major version just because we guarantee backward support for all this 1.x.
Yeah, so then we're gonna republish those charts
Mhm.
with the fix. It's a change of a single Helm value, so it should be fairly straightforward.
Yeah, and we will also announce this in the announcement channel in our Slack. Anything else?
Not really. I'm already working on it. I have a draft PR open to exchange lots of variables and stuff. And I'm still working on kind of a small script to fetch all the most active contributors of all the repos.
Yeah, I will notify them in a single issue instead of creating one issue per repository. So if we need to discuss something, is centralized in a single point so everyone can provide their own opinion and input there instead of having scattered around.
Yep.
Okay. Nice. Thank you. Then Aaron, please share your experience using Keptn with us.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, and thanks for keeping this forum public and open. I really appreciate that. It's nice to see the activity going on. Yeah, so before I jump in, I'll also introduce my colleague who's also joined, Lynn. He came in just a moment ago. We kind of explored this together, so give him a warm hello.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
Yeah.
All right, so essentially we built an in-house collection of tools as part of our internal developer platform, which fills gaps in environment management, mostly visibility, but especially with deployment management. And we have certain paradigms that we've been following that largely just work out of convenience or by what naturally came as a byproduct of the tools we're using, which specifically where Keptn would come in was that we have GitHub Actions creating the artifacts and Argo CD continuously deploying them. But this is where our in-house tool comes in. The actual promotion flow is not possible to implement through GitHub Actions. are you guys familiar with the term promotion flow? Like, do you understand what I'm referring to? Yeah. Okay. So essentially what people at Brandwatch are used to doing is having like a list of their artifacts and being able to see visibility on those and just kind of click a button and choose which environment they go to. And that was where we thought that actually Keptn appeared to be kind of the holy grail, because not only would it replace our in-house tool, but also you guys have implemented some fantastic functionality on here with the SLI generation, as well as quality gates, and being able to just build a lot of confidence in these promotions, which I think really is a lot of the whole point of Keptn. Which unfortunately, because this is really the focus, that's why we came to the conclusion not to use Keptn as a replacement for our in-house tool. It was kind of like a hard thing to come to reality with, you know, because on the one hand, like it would have been magical, but unfortunately, what I think was really the deal breaker was the part, like, well, just to give like kind of like our trade-off is essentially considering if the benefits included by Keptn can outweigh the work needed to replace our in-house tool. But where I think like the most critical thing for us came in was in this philosophy of going hard with the deployments and the rollouts and the cannery type style, and not having that visibility on the artifacts would kind of force people to change how they think of things. And so we understand Keptn to be something that could work great, maybe as like a back-end supplement to what we're doing and not expose the UI. But also, you know, it's there's a lot of new terminology and stuff in here, and we did our best to understand what was going on. But I also wanted to hear maybe from this forum if our assessment was incorrect, or if maybe we missed some kind of an opportunity about how the tool can be used, because it really seemed like this would have been possible, but unfortunately, at least we didn't figure out how to do it. So that was kind of like where we figured this might not really be a fair thing to do. But then also it kind of creates some warning signs when we see that there's some signs of really like this is an like early stage project, you know. It's really nice that you got the incubation stage from CNCF. However, like, you know, and this is not like, no offense to anybody here, you guys are all, you know, making some great stuff happen. But what we did see was that there's just like, you know, this extensions and stuff haven't been maintained for over a year in a lot of cases, as well as the lifecycle toolkit it's so fresh that, you know, it just seemed maybe a little bit naive to think that we could take something so early and use it as a replacement for hundreds of engineers, right? So anyways, I'll leave it at that. I would love to hear some feedback from you guys as to kind of what whether our thinking is clear on this.
So, how to start? I would say, yes, it's true. On the integration page, many of them are not maintained. Unfortunately, it's the sad reality of open source projects. Someone come up with a very nice idea how to integrate with their own tool, and then they forget about that when they move from fancy tool 1 to fancy tool 2. We are still keeping them out in the wild for a reason, because since the tool landscape evolves, you might want to provide your own integration for your own tool that you are currently using. And so you can use the existing code base as a reference to look how you could integrate your own tool into Keptn. For the terminology, yes, I agree that sometimes we have some terms that are a bit not aligned with the standard understanding of that specific term, like project. What is a Keptn project? How do you relate to that? Is an application, is not a service? Is the Kubernetes service, or is a microservice in terms of an artifact? Yeah, I see there might be a bit of a learning curve, basically. For the lifecycle toolkit, we started 6 months ago. I cannot say you should use it in production at the moment, because depending on what do you want to use it for. Because some functionalities, such as bringing observability out of the box to your deployments, that I would say you can use the Lifecycle Toolkit in production for. That's very well tested. It's the first thing we start to work on, and I would feel confident running that in my production environment. Other things, such as the metric server to scale your workloads up and down, it's a really new feature that we just recently added a few weeks ago. That might be not good for your production environment. But for the Lifecycle Toolkit, we wanted to have multiple different things. That's why the name Toolkit, and you can decide how to use it. You can start with observability and just use it that passively to see what's happening in your deployment. Then when you consider the maturity of the lifecycle handling, to also automatically deploy things into your Kubernetes cluster and support your deployment, then you might want to change it and start to adopt this new feature. When you see that also the metric server to scale your workloads automatically works fine, you can start to add that. So that's why we use the name Toolkit, because you can pick the feature and start to use that specific feature independently from the rest. I don't know if this rambling around answered some of your points, or if you have more specific questions, please ask.
No, that's very helpful. You've addressed most of kind of what I mentioned. It's nice to have that. And I guess the last one that I wasn't addressed would kind of be something I'd like to press a little further, was that idea of the promotion flow with the artifact view as a contrast to this functional philosophy around the deployments. Has this been something that's been considered, or it kind of looked like I was seeing your roadmap here as some of these items
Exactly.
kind of there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more a little bit about this.
Yeah, that's very good, because the community was pretty vocal about these enhancement proposals. You can see there are many start to see some comments and emojis on this one here. And the idea of these 3 specific enhancements are exactly about this promotion flow. So this one is mostly about propagating the trace ID. So sorry, maybe a bit of context. The Lifecycle Toolkit works in a GitOps fashion. So you have your repository with your manifest. I've been deploying to the Kubernetes cluster, and the Lifecycle Toolkit watch for them and create traces and metrics of your deployment, and support with running some pre-task or post-task when things happen inside your deployment. And we create a trace for this deployment. But then this is maybe just the dev stage, and then this one will be promoted into the hardening stage. And in the hardening stage, would be nice to have a link that points to the trace from the dev stage. And this enhancement proposal is to propagate the trace ID context, so you can have open telemetry that monitors every single stage of your promotion flow. From one stage, you create the trace, the second stage, you create another trace, and you can link it back to the previous stage. Then this one is a bit for having the concept of instances, where you can also name your successor to say, try to promote from one stage to the next one, and you might want to have also multiple successors. I don't have an example here. No. So the idea here is exactly about this promotion part, where you're telling, okay, if everything went fine in your previous deployment, with the concept of evaluation that we have also in that Lifecycle Toolkit, which is similar to the quality gate in Keptn v1. If every LSLI and SLO are fine, then you want to promote your artifact to the next stage. For instance, from dev, you want to promote it to staging. And then you can specify in which repository, branch, path of the manifest file, and anything else to run this promotion in a GitOps fashion.
Okay, this is very interesting. Yeah, a nice build on creating more like options and functionality around the promotion flow. Yeah, so and I guess like what I would wonder is if there's a way to have like or anything planned for a sort of like a table view of like a history or like previous artifacts that could be reintroduced into the promotion flow, for example, or as a way of having Keptn be used as like you could trigger a manual step that would initiate a rollback, for example, that isn't part of the active promotion, like not just a rollback to the previous state, but maybe multiple states. Is this something that could be possible?
We do not have this yet in both version of Keptn, the lifecycle toolkit and Keptn. That's an interesting approach. We didn't look into that. That would be a very interesting thing, actually.
Would you guys be interested in working on it?
Well, I mean, we have our in-house tool, right? Which
Right.
effectively does that. So
Yeah, just
unfortunate, yeah.
just we're always looking for people, you know? Had to be obnoxious about it.
Fair enough, fair enough. And I'm curious, how many people here are with Dynatrace? Just
I
just one?
see
Me?
Oh, okay, you're raising
5
hands.
people,
Okay.
6 people.
Okay, so like actually quite okay, this is really neat. Okay, cool.
My camera out and raise my hand.
And you know what I do want to say is a possibility on the table is that what would be worth for us is if in the future we can find something that achieves parity, right? Then we would rather make contributions to a project like Keptn than to just isolate ourselves with our own internal tool, right? But with where we are now, you know, that we're going to have to keep going with what we're already working on. But okay, but that's really cool. I'm happy that at least we could kind of bring up this kind of an idea, because I think this was really like the key thing about having that visibility on the artifacts, right? If Keptn could be used as a way, maybe some sort of using Artifactory as an input, or kind of like a way of looking at previous states, right? That would kind of tie it all together. But okay, anyways, I don't want to take too much of the time on the agenda here. I know there's
It's the last item.
actually we're the last. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh,
We have
not too
all the
bad.
time. There's
Okay.
also the promotion rollback. It's a very interesting concept. I would suggest maybe to have a read at this Keptn enhancement proposal and provide your 2 cents on this topic.
Okay.
And maybe discuss with Thomas. I think you can ping him directly in our Slack.
Okay, cool.
Thomas Schutz, to discuss this, because I think that's a very nice and neat use cases that you have that we do not cover at the moment.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll message Thomas. I was actually kind of hoping he'd be here today.
No, unfortunately, he won't be able to be here today, but we have also a community meeting. I don't know where you're based, but next Wednesday, 10 in the morning, Central European time.
Oh, okay.
Where do you live? Where are you guys located?
Germany.
Oh,
Ah,
okay.
perfect. Then
Yeah,
Then you're
so
in
that
good
works pretty
shape.
well.
yeah, no, the time zones it's perfect.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
have
so
this
maybe
meeting. We have this meeting every week, but we alternate time zones every other week. So
Cool. Okay, but so sorry, what was the meeting you're proposing here?
Basically, the next community meeting next week.
Just the next
Wednesday.
meeting. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe Thomas will be there next time.
yes, he told me that he would be there. Is it? Oh, we don't need that.
yeah, I think he said something to that effect. Always subject to change.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll see what I can do. I'll message Thomas first and see what makes the most sense from there. But I definitely wanted to be able to bring these ideas, you know, and maybe if planting the seed there now can help you guys out a lot in the future to get more companies to onboard Keptn and potentially us in the future, then this is a huge win for everybody.
Yep.
Definitely.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you. That's all from my side.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, actually.
Thank
Very
you.
nice input and nice discussion. So I think we are at the end of the agenda. Is there anything else, some spontaneous item? Also, you can write on the chat. Looks like nothing. So I think we can.
I have one
Yes.
thing. I have one thing. I'm just curious, and I just want to ask, and I used this community meeting regarding the Peribolos status. If we have any news from the governance board regarding changing our community management or things like that, or
I didn't check yet. I didn't heard anything from the
yeah,
community.
there are 2 pull requests open currently. The one where we apply Peribolos, and then there is the other one, and then there is the issue where we are talking about. It's linked in the adding Peribolos functionality. You will find the other ticket. Further down, I think, is the link where Thomas said he linked it. Yeah, the RFE established maintainer approver per sub project.
Yeah.
And now those seem to be a little bit stale, and I'm curious because the longer we wait, the
drift between the reality and what's in the YAML.
in the pull request. So I'm just curious if we have some information or some update regarding this topics. No.
No, but I will bring this up with the governance board. I will try to ping them directly and see the status and try to push it a bit further.
I mean, I can also push it. I was just curious. I'm just not that deeply involved with the governance board so far. So it's more out of curiosity. So.
No, I think the prep for KubeCon is taking a lot of time, so
Yeah.
they're busy with that.
Perfect.
Okay, then I think we can call it a day.
Great.
Thank you, everyone. Have
Thanks,
a great
everyone.
rest of your day and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.